Welcome to the show tonight. Tonight we are talking about low back pain, simple ways to improve um, your pain levels through stretching and exercise tips. I'll be talking a lot about that tonight, but just want to say thank you all for listening to us. Give everybody a second to get on tonight. One thing that we are going to do a little bit differently tonight is we're going to be doing a little more interactive type of um, a show. So, what we're going to be doing is I'll be going through some things with regards to back pain, but then as I go through them, I'm going to hopefully at the end give you a very specific plan to get out of that pain. I'm going to take you through some simple stretching activities and hopefully answer some of your questions. So, if you are in pain tonight, put some questions below. My goal is to help you out. My goal with these talks on Friday night are to really give you value. I've been a practicing chiropractor for over 20 years, and I see a lot of back pain in my practice. It's probably the number one thing that I do see in my practice. And what it is very disabling for people. People don't realize until they have back pain how bad it can really be. So, if you are suffering out there, like I said, my goal tonight is to hopefully help you get out of pain. So, if you're out there, let me know. Give us a thumbs up, share the material, let everybody know that we are talking about your health, how we can improve it naturally here at Doc's Oils and Tally Chiropractic. So, like I said, what I'm going to start with tonight is talking a little bit about when we have back pain. What we need to do first is kind of locate it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how locating the structures in your back where you typically have pain can sometimes give you an idea of what's wrong, how serious it is, and what you really need to do. So, we're going to start with, I'm going to talk a little bit about the skeleton and some things like that. So, we'll start with that, how to locate your back pain. Grab the skeleton here. When we have back pain, or especially low back pain, most of the time it runs across the waistline and then is either one-sided or very centrally located. So, if you're having back pain, what I want you to do is kind of look at this model here, okay? This is your spine from the back. This is your pelvis here, and then this right here is what's called your sacrum. And so when we have back pain, a lot of times these structures are specifically what are causing your pain. It's not always as simple as just a pinched nerve. In a lot of cases, so what I want to do is just kind of orientate you with where we're at here. This is the side perspective of your spine. These bones here are your spinal bones. In between is the jelly substance called your disc. And then out the side comes the nerves. And then, like I said, down at the bottom here, you have these joints called the SI joints, and that's where the sacrum and the ilium come together. So, let me just kind of show you here on yourself. If that joint that I just showed you right over here to the right side, you can usually feel a dimple. So if you push on that area, that dimple right there is basically this area right here, and it's where this joint comes together, and that's where we see a lot of problems in the back. And that joint is called the SI joint, or the sacroiliac joint. What a lot of times happens is that joint will get inflamed, it'll get swollen, misaligned, and then go into muscle spasm. That can cause lower back pain on one side, sometimes pain down the leg like the sciatica. And so if you have pain on the one side, a lot of times it is coming specifically from that joint. You also have lower joints in the spine called facet joints. These joints are at the lower part of the spine, and they're right in the center. A lot of times when you get pain when you bend backwards, that's what's called a facet problem. And those joints can cause what's called mechanical back pain. So usually you get this achiness in the lower back. So, like I said, the main landmarks that you want to kind of find are the two things on either side of the spine. And then right to the middle are what are called the spinal spinous processes. And right there is where those joints, right next to those, are where those facet joints are. And then a lot of times people talk about having pain in their butt and leg. There's a muscle that goes basically from your butt here all the way over to your hip here. And this muscle is called the piriformis muscle. That muscle tends to cause a lot of pelvic and lower back pain for people. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But if you have pain in the middle of your butt, if you have pain running down your leg, a lot of times that'll come from that muscle called the piriformis muscle. So those three things, your facet joints, your SI joints, and your piriformis muscle, can all cause what are called mechanical low back pain and problems that unfortunately couldn't be very excruciating. And then you can also have problems too, the things like a disc. And when people have problems with a disc, in most cases, what they're speaking of usually is when they're talking about having a pinch nerve. Usually a true pinch nerve comes from a disc, and actually you have the material that you can kind of see here, this little material that's supposed to be in between the joints, leaks out into where the hole comes, and that hole then pinches off and causes nerve pain. So what we do, so that also can be a real source of low back pain. So now that you know where you're having the problem out at, an area, giving you kind of an idea of what's going on, or at least what location it could be coming from, you kind of need to know what really happens when you have low back pain. And in my opinion, it's not usually one thing specifically. It's usually multiple things going on at one time, and that is generating pain. In my opinion, what a lot of times happens is you get misalignment of the joints, you get inflammation of the joint, you get irritation of the nerve, and then you get muscular spasm or muscular splinting and pain. And what that does is cause you this whole cycle of low back pain and dysfunction. So we want to get you out of that. If you do have an opportunity, like I said, throw up any questions you might have. Let me know that you're on and hear me. And like I said, I want to help you out if you have specific questions. So now that we kind of know what happens with our low back, now what we really want to do is look at what can we really do, or what should we do? Because in a lot of cases, what happens is we get low back pain and we don't want to call the doctor. We don't want to go to the chiropractor. We don't want to get medication. We want it to go away. And unfortunately, that's people's famous last words. I thought it was going to go away. And really what you should do is have a very good routine of, oh my goodness, I'm having pain. I know that this is happening. And so here's what I'm going to do. So here are a couple things that you should do if you have low back pain currently. Number one, you should be using ice. Most all low back pain or pain in the spine and joints, in my opinion, comes from inflammation. If you can minimize that acute inflammation, you can minimize swelling, you can minimize pain, and get yourself going the right way. The second thing that you want to do is you want to compress the area. One way to compress an area is something called kinesio tape. This is a great tape that you can get at Walgreens. We can use it here. A lot of times there's special ways to tape. But what that does is kind of protect the back and take some pressure off of that area. So you want to put ice on the area. You want to take pressure off by somewhat stabilizing the area. And then if you're having a muscular spasm specifically, you want to take something like, if you can stand a golf ball, or if you can't, then you take something like a tennis ball or something of that nature, and you try to get into that muscle that is in spasm. You put a little bit of pressure on it, and as you slowly pressure that muscle, what should happen is you get some relaxation. But the first thing is get ice on it. like I said, stabilize it. And then the next thing that a lot of people don't think about doing is they'll start just doing different types of stretching and things. In day 1 and 2, I don't typically recommend doing stretching real aggressively. What I recommend doing is starting to get control of your pelvis. Because if you can get control of your pelvic muscles, you can keep the pelvis in alignment and you can protect it. Also, by tightening your stomach periodically when your back is injured, what it tends to do is relax those lower back muscles. So you get some pain relief with that. So, like I said, first 3 things to do: ice, stabilize, compress, and then work on finding those abdominal muscles. What should you not do? And this is probably more important than anything. Number 1, if you have low back and leg pain, then you need to make sure that it is not a more serious problem, because people with leg pain mean that you do have some kind of nerve compression. And so I would not recommend just starting out doing all these kinds of, stretches and all this stuff that people do. When you start doing that right at first, what a lot of times happens is you have a situation where you aggravate an already aggravated situation. And so then you just precipitate the problem and you create something called a rebound phenomenon. And that rebound phenomenon is where a muscle is already irritated and you go to stretch it, and it stretches the nerve, it stretches the muscle. And what happens is that muscle says, oh shit, I don't like this, and contracts. And as it contracts, you go into those muscle spasms. And that's where you get into that situation where you can't go from sitting to standing and those type of things. And once you're in that muscle spasm, that's usually when you end up in my office, where you can't move. It's hard to go from sitting to standing. You can't get out of bed in the morning, and you have all kinds of those types of problems. So, like I said, that's one thing that you want to avoid, so to speak. So those are the things that you shouldn't do. Another thing that you should do is look at getting yourself a good topical product, because, like I said, you want to get rid of that inflammation and you want to do it quickly. These topicals that we have, the CBD topicals really work to relax the muscles and bring down that swelling. Another thing that you can do is increase your CBD that you're taking, because that's going to give some pain relief and bring down inflammation. So those are some simple things that you can do just from the standpoint of, okay, I've got an idea of what's going on. I know where it's at. And so what I'm going to do is try to minimize the problem. And then I'd give it 2 or 3 days. And after 2 or 3 days, the problem hasn't minimized, you're not at least going the right way, then you probably need to do something. But if it is starting to go the right way, the next step is really critical in making sure that your problem continues to heal, that you fully heal properly, and that you get really long-term benefits. So what I'm going to do now is talk a little bit about a routine that you can do to really give you some pain relief. And I don't recommend specifically starting out just with stretching. What I'm going to recommend is a simple activity called the Pelvic Reset. And I'm going to take you through 3 exercises, and we'll kind of go over why I think these are important and why they're good for most all mechanical back pain and pretty safe. One thing I did see when I was watching videos getting ready for this live is I noticed that when people were showing exercises, they were showing these very dynamic back exercises. And when you have a back injury, you can hardly get up from sitting to standing. And in my opinion, it's very difficult to do some of the activities. So you've got to start out where your level is. And if you're in a lot of pain, you don't want to do these things. As a matter of fact, any of these exercises that I show you, and remember this, any of these exercises that I show you, it is important that they do not cause pain. Because if you're causing pain when you're trying to rehabilitate a low back problem, then you're just aggravating the situation. Now, it doesn't mean you shouldn't feel a little stretch or what have you, but you should not be above probably a level of about 5 when I pain level of 5. So that's kind of where we're at. Like I said, here shortly, I'm going to go over that routine with you, and I'm going to kind of take you through it. But I did want to give everybody kind of a second to, like I said, jump on, tell me how they're doing tonight. Let me know if they have back pain. Let me know if you have specific questions about your back pain. I think I can comment tonight and chat. So, like I said, let me know what kind of questions you might have. And then I'm going to go ahead and go over the simple routine that I'd recommend for you. So if I don't have any questions, like I said, I'm going to actually do these exercises and kind of demonstrate them. These are exercises that I show patients in my practice pretty regularly. And one of the biggest or one of the most important things with them is making sure that you're doing them with proper movement, proper function, and like I said, that they don't cause pain. So we're going to start off with the pelvic reset. Now, if you have an area that you can do these, I recommend that you give them a try. You can basically just kind of watch how I'm doing them and go ahead and do a couple of them. What I recommend with most of these exercises is that you only start off with approximately 8 to 10 repetitions and don't do them more than once to twice a day. I see this all the time in my practice where people just overdo, and you don't need to do that. So, like I said, the first one is, this is just exercises that you're going to start on about day 2 or 3. And the goal of these exercises is to reset your pelvis, get the lower back muscles stretching out, and then get your pelvis more realigned and functioning properly. So the first one, all you're going to do is you're going to start on your back. And you're going to start on your back with your knees up. And so as you're on your back is going to be flat and in a neutral position. You can have your head on a pillow, that's no problem. But like I said, you want your knees neutral, feet level, and flat. And then all you're going to do is you're going to start with a slight tightness in your lower abdomen. And as you just tighten the abdomen on all these exercises to protect the core and protect that lower back. And then all you're going to do is you're going to just rotate your pelvis, leaving your back flat. So you're going to rotate your pelvis as far as you can comfortably, and you're going to look the opposite direction. You're going to hold for 1 second, tighten the core, come back to a neutral position, and then you're going to go the opposite direction, turning the head the opposite way. What you should feel is a stretch in these lower muscles here in the back, stretch into the buttock and down the side of the hip. This exercise is great to improve your range of motion. Now, the key here is this. What you're probably going to find is that one side you can't go quite as far as the other. What you want to do is stop right before it becomes painful, go back to neutral, go to that opposite side as far as you can, and then come back to neutral again. Go just to that point before you feel it, and back. The reason that we do the exercise that way, the reason that we have the tightness in the core, and the reason that we only take it to that area before pain is so that we don't cause that rebound phenomenon. And then the second thing is, what happens is, the reason that we continue to do that, even both sides going our full range that we can, is our body will naturally adapt. So as you do that exercise each day, your body should naturally rotate further and further. And what you'll notice with these exercises, as your rotation improves, as your flexibility improves, your pain level improves. People don't realize how much relief that you can truly get from stretching exercises. Stretching and strengthening activities are two of the best ways to get pain relief. So, like I said, that's number 1 of the pelvic reset. The second thing we're going to work on is just a simple half of a sit-up or a quarter of a sit-up. But what we're going to focus on this exercise is really pushing our back into the ground. And so you're going to lay with your back flat once again, same kind of thing, knees bent up. And then all you're going to do is you're going to tighten your stomach and push your back into the ground. And then you're going to raise your shoulders up about 3 inches. You're going to hold this. You're going to hold 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then you're going to slowly go back down. You should notice that when you tighten your stomach and you push your back down, it sets that pelvis into the ground. What that does is stabilize and balance the pelvis and levels it out, helps to align it. It also helps to strengthen the abdominal muscles. And like I said, as you strengthen and press it down, it repositions the pelvis. You come up, hold 1, 2, 3. Now, key is this. If you have specific pain with this movement, if you get pain when you curl up or it goes down your leg, that's not a good sign. Number one, stop. But number two, it's potentially a sign that there's a problem with that disc, because what you're increasing when you do that curl up is something called intrathecal pressure. And if you increase what's called intrathecal pressure, that increases the spinal pressure. And a lot of times what happens is that pushes that little disc out and that zings your nerve. And when it zings your nerve, it hurts. So if you're doing the curl up portion of the pelvic reset and you are having pain, then you need to stop and think about doing something else and potentially call your doctor. And then the final one is just a little variation. So you're going to be, once again, in the same position. You can do these all on the bed because at a lot of times when you first start these, you can't get off the floor. So do them on the bed. Now, this one here, once again, same positioning. All you're going to do here is work on lifting the pelvis straight up. You're going to tighten your abs and tighten your butt. Now, you're going to raise up as high as you can, and then you're going to tighten and tighten. And you're going to hold nice and level. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. Good. Now, a lot of people will cramp up in the hamstrings, and a lot of people will, when you go up, if you're having back pain, you'll get pain. So what you want to do is only go to a point where you feel it. So if you can only lift your butt up this high, that's fine. You tighten and hold. 1, 2, 3, down. Up, tighten, hold, down. So you can see as you do it, what will happen is your body will naturally adapt. You'll be able to get further, won't cramp up here, and life will be good. Now, once again, if you do cramp up there, you're probably real tight in your hamstrings, and I'll talk a minute about that because that's going to be kind of the next part of the problem, so to speak. But those 3 exercises are what you should start on probably day 2 or 3 when you're having back pain. And if you can tolerate going through those without aggravating your back, and you don't have too much pain doing them, then likely after about a week or 2, your back pain should resolve and life should go on. Now, with that though, you do need to make sure that you can do other things as well. A lot of times what happens with people when they have back problems is they have very poor flexibility in their hamstrings and they have very tight muscles in their lower back. And so they lose the ability to move and bend forward. So when you lose that ability to bend forward, you've got to do simple things to get it back. Now in the office, a lot of times what I'll do is, we'll stretch each leg and we'll try to get the back of the leg here nice and balanced out. And we'll do this other one as well. And the goal will be to get your hamstrings nice and balanced, because if your hamstrings are balanced, your body works better. Your hamstrings attach right here to your pelvis, and then they go down to the back of the leg. And if they are unequal and really tight, what happens is those hamstrings pull on that lower spine. So when you sit all day long in a really shitty position, these hamstrings are shortened because your legs bent. And so because it's shortened, when you go to stand up and walk, your pelvis doesn't, your pelvis is in a poor position because it pulls down on it, and then it twists it because it's imbalanced. And if that's occurring, you'll precipitate a low back problem over and over and over. And usually when you have this problem, your pain is at the SI joint and in the butt, and then in some cases will go to that just hamstring. It's usually not sciatic. But what you want to do there is start some simple, what are called range of motion exercise. Now, these are very simple to do as long as it doesn't aggravate. And that's the key here. So what you're going to do is just start with, like I said, simple range of motion. You're going to make sure that you have a nice core tightening. You're going to have your hips nice and or your arms nice and relaxed at your side. And then you're just going to slowly bend down at the waist. I recommend having still a slight tightness. So you're going to go down as far as you can, hold 1 second, and come back up. These exercises here are more movement oriented. So you're actually moving with these. And so you start out and you're going to go ahead and try a couple of these. And start out and do 8 to 10. Now, here's the thing. You say, my gosh, I can't bend over when I have back pain. What you're trying to do is get this pelvis engaged. Get it moving. So you're going to just start here. And once again, remember the key, no pain. So you go to here, and if that's all the further you can start with, which is right here, that's fine. You hold, tighten that stomach, come back up, deep breath, back down, hold, back down, down. And what happens is, if you keep doing this, you naturally go further. Your body adapts. That's the beauty of the body. Now, it won't adapt like mine did there necessarily, but your body will adapt. And so your hamstrings will start getting longer. Your muscles in the lower back will start getting looser. And what will happen is that pain level will decrease. Your overall ability to do what are called activities of daily living, the things that allow you to move and bend and twist, all those type of things you'll be able to do properly. So that's the first exercise of the range of motion. The second one is just some side bending. Basically, you want to make sure that this spine moves in all ranges. So you're just going to slide your hand down the side of your knee, hold 1 to 2 seconds, back to neutral, and down there. And back to neutral. All the while making sure that you keep a tight stomach as you do those exercises. So pelvic reset, range of motion exercises, and then the final thing that I really recommend to most everybody with regards to their back pain, because back pain doesn't just affect usually your low back. If you have back pain here, you're sitting like this, you're doing this kind of thing and whatever else, or you're leaning away from pain like, oh shit. So what I really recommend for people, especially if they've sat at a desk and really leaned forward a lot, I really recommend strengthening the muscles in between the middle of the back and working on your posture. Everybody I see is very rotated forward and bent, and they're all in this position. And as they're in this position, what happens is all these muscles get weak and tight, and then that stresses the entire spine. And so you get that humpback kind of look. And so what we do in my practice is really work on people's posture, because if you can have better posture overall, you're going to have better luck overall. So, hey, Debbie. Hey, Asa. Good to see you tonight. So what I give all my patients is a simple posture band. These are great for improving your posture, improving your low back or your mid back function. and strengthening those muscles in the back. And the simple exercise is really just this. You're just going to start with this. You're going to have your hands just nice and relaxed, and then your thumbs are going to be out. And so all you're going to do is you're going to pull out this way, and you're going to hold 1 second to 2 seconds, and then you're going to come back to neutral. What you want to do is poke that chest out, and then back in. And when from a side view, you see I'm really accentuating, pulling those shoulders back. And if you look at my back, I'm trying to close the shoulder blades together in the back. And what you want to do is think about closing those shoulder blades together. And what that does is strengthen that posture, gets you into a better position here, which takes stress off the lower back, off the mid back, and off the neck. So, reset your pelvis, improve your range of motion, and improve your posture. If you do those 3 things in the correct order, use ice, use CBD topical, use CBD products for decreasing inflammation. If you do those type of things, a lot of times you can get out of mechanical back problems. If you are having leg pain, if you're having more sciatic symptoms, in a lot of cases that's more serious type of problems, don't let it go for too long. I see a lot of people letting these things go on forever, thinking they're going to go away, when in some cases you can get in, get help, and get things fixed. So, or if you don't want to get in, you can try, just like I said, some of our CBD products have been very successful at helping people kind of get out of the woods, so to speak. Another great thing that I use in my office, I wanted to mention, if you don't have one of these are worth investing in. These are what are called percussion massagers. You can kind of see here. I've showed this on a few of my videos, but this percussion massager is from Tim Tam. And these are great for muscular knots, muscular spasm, and that type of thing. You can use them on all muscles. Like I said, we use them. I use it here in my practice. We usually use some kind of massage to kind of loosen up the muscles. Because with these problems in the back and things, like I said, they're usually a collection of things. And if they last for any kind of time, what happens is they become, you get these muscular knots called trigger points and that type of thing. And this really helps. The other thing, like I said, don't forget about trying the kinesio tape. I was not a big fan of kinesio tape, but kinesio tape is really good for helping stabilize the pelvis. It really helps with muscular injuries. It's great for athletes and things like that. So let me see. Does anyone have any questions? So after that, that's kind of really the main information that I wanted to kind of go over tonight. I appreciate people getting on the feed and checking things out. Hope everybody's having a great Friday night. It is a fine Friday here in Granite City. Got some great things going on this weekend. Sissy Space is having a farmer's market downtown. And that's always a great time. So check them out. Check out all the local stuff going on. But if you do have any specific questions, I would love to hear them. Debbie, nice to see you. Asa, nice to see you. Anybody on, give me thumbs up. Let me know what you're doing tonight. Let me know what you're suffering from. This is an opportunity for me to answer some questions. Answer what what I think might be going on with your problem, and I'd give you some idea of what we can do. Asa, anything knee in general? Uh-oh, I'm hitting the wrong buttons now. Whoops. Tried to do that. So Asa, absolutely. I can give you some information regards to the knee. Once again, the big thing is you want to try to keep that moving and patterning as best as possible. I would really start, if you really want to know my opinion, I would start simply with a basically you're going to start on your back and you're going to work on sliding the knee straight up. And as you slide that up, you're going to keep that foot straight, and then you're going to slide it all the way back down, pushing that knee into the ground. You start out with 10 repetitions. Now I know it doesn't seem like much, but if you work on the range and allowing it to pattern properly, it'll make a big difference. The other thing is this, and that's kind of what I talked about before. I would bet, Asa, if you really I would bet, Asa, if you really looked at your hamstring flexibility and started working on hamstrings, your hamstrings put a lot of stress on your knees, your hips, and that type of thing, and can really cause some problems. So I would suggest looking at the hamstrings and flexibility and muscles around the knee. The more you can get them flexible, the better you're going to do. Let's see, Debbie. Pretty sure there should be no popping, grinding in the lower back. No, you shouldn't have that popping and grinding necessarily. That's not always a great sign. In a lot of cases, you could be getting some wear and tear and some things like that. You should try our topical, Debbie. You should give that a go. I think that you'd really like it. Our CBD topical is called Doc Soil's CBD balm. We've got several different topicals, but I like it much better than the BioFreeze for the low back. So that's something to kind of think about. But no, Debbie, you should get back in and get on the adjustment train. And you do need those hamstrings flexible, because I remember the flexibility. Hopefully you've been doing well though, overall. The other thing is, Ace, if it is swelling up, don't forget, obviously, the icing. But another thing that you can do is make sure that you are pulling the fluid up when you massage your knee. Pull upward in a compressing type of style, which will help pull that fluid out of there. But hopefully that's helpful for you. But definitely look at the flexibility. One of the biggest things that I see with people that is often missed is flexibility. They don't realize how bad flexibility can be causing most of their pain. And so what happens is they don't try to improve it. I have so many people that come in with knee pain, especially. Knee's a really good one. And that they come in with knee pain, and we just do that simple stretching. We just, do that type of thing. And next thing they know, they're walking better, their pain levels down, and they're back to their functional self. And that's what the goal is with any of the stretching, with any of the exercises, balancing out and getting back to your functional self. Let's see. Anybody else out there with questions, thoughts, or anything like that? Like I said, hope tonight was valuable for you. I'm going to try to continue to do these weekly. Sometimes we'll be talking more specifically about CBD products. Sometimes we'll be speaking more specifically just about health in general. My goal is to give you some value, give you some information that I think can help you. And then if you do need more information, hopefully give you a place that you can go check it out. If you've noticed tonight, we do have my ticker running. It is, we've got our Doc Soil site up and running. If you check it out, check out our blog. We've got several new blog posts that I really like. You can learn about all about CBD for skin. You can learn about CBD for wellness, and you can learn about just some of the research and things like that that's out there on CBD. So I would hope that you check out our website and let us know what you think. If you have questions and that type of thing, we'd be really glad to help you out. Final thing I did want to mention tonight is we will be open tomorrow at the shop. Hope you come in and check it out. I'll actually be down there myself. So if you want tonight, jump on the website, schedule a consultation, and we can maybe even talk tomorrow. In the consultations, anything is fair game. That's the other thing. I don't mind if you talk about your pain. I don't mind if you talk about whatever, and I'll give you information on that with those free consultations. I don't think that you can get that really anywhere else. And I know that there are very few people that can give you as good information on the CBD that we can. I really believe in what we have from a CBD product, and I really believe that the information about it is important because the more you know about the product, the more you know about what you're taking, the better your health is going to be. And that's what we're really trying to do here. Improve your health in all ways, whether it be through chiropractic, whether it be through CBD oil, or whether it just be through good sound information. And I think that that's really important is that we give you that good sound information that gives you something valuable and that you can take home. So hopefully these are helpful. I'm going to call it a night. I think, and I hope that you have a great night. Like I said, if you are suffering these things, try a few of the things that we mentioned. But if you do need us, we would be glad to help you out. I am glad to see you both. Everybody that's been on tonight, we appreciate you. We appreciate your continued support with both of our businesses at Tally Chiropractic and Doc Oil CBD. Like I said, we are promoting natural health. Be well, friends. Have a great night. See y'all later. Bye-bye.